The market makers are doing their thing. What can we expect Bitcoin to do next? All right, guys. Well, welcome. Today is Friday, January 27th, and next week I will be out of the office for the most part, so likely to be a little trading, not much going on, and um, I'm not too concerned about that because Bitcoin is as expected, and you will know this from previous posts and videos, uh, in a range right now. And we're bouncing around in this range. We're going to explore that in just a second. But before we do that, I'm going to talk about where I think Bitcoin will go before we drop back down to the bottom of the range. And actually, before I start with Bitcoin, let's just go ahead and it's been a few weeks since I covered the dollar and the VIX and the indexes, stock indexes here in the U.S. So let's go ahead and do that very quickly, and we'll make this a quick weekly summary. All right, so jumping into the charts here, I have the dollar DXY pulled up, Dixie, and you can see that right on course. So, you know, as soon as we fell out of this channel, the outline pattern was what I projected, and the dollar followed that, that arrow that I drew with several bear flags in it almost precisely. Now, I had initially drawn that we could come back down to this descending trend line, which, by the way, comes all the way from 1984. Uh, did not get there though. So I fell a little bit. We did wick down and thought we were going to come down and touch that, but before that happened, the dollar took a turn to the upside, and now we are going back up. All right, so we've been range bound in the dollar for quite some time since December of last year. So for almost a year, we've been back and forth, sort of between 105.6 and 100, and we've gone a little bit above and a little bit below at times. I think we're headed right back up to the 105 level before we turn around and do some more dumping. And that is this is the predominant and the leading indicator that we have to follow for our longer time frame cycles. All right, so with the dollar right now, it's under the 200-day moving average, you can see, and that is providing some resistance. Once it breaks, I do expect us to continue up to that 105 level. And of course, what happens, guys, when the dollar gets stronger? Everything kind of subsides in terms of the upside strength and momentum that we are seeing. So, um, and it's kind of time for us to do that. Let's just jump over to the SPY real quick. And you can see this blow off top that I had drawn out quite actually a couple years ago is well underway. We have broken all-time highs. So that is news since the last time I've posted. And I expect us to continue up. However, you can see my channel here. I have green, orange, and red. Once we get into this red area, it's time for us to pull back a little bit. And that happened last time. We got into the red area, and I saw that we could be forming a head and shoulders pattern. And sure enough, we did. We came all the way back down, formed a neckline, and then a right shoulder. And at that point, knew we were going back down to 410, and we were going to bounce once we hit that. And look at that, guys. Spot on. We bounced. Do you guys all remember this? Now, we definitely bounced a lot. I mean, it was a massive move once we hit that. And I was truthfully not expecting that to happen, but it did. And so either way, I would have, if I was uh, voting long at this point, I would have probably taken some off the top at this neckline, which we stuttered at, and then let the rest ride. And we'd be in great profit here as we continue upward. However, at this point, this is around where I would take 100% off because we are at the top side of this red channel again on the SPY, which is the primary indicator I have been utilizing to chart track U.S. stock market movement. All right, so the SPY is due for a little bit of a pullback, so that agrees with what we're seeing on the dollar. Because if the SPY pulls back, the dollar probably will get stronger. It will probably make its move to the upside of this resistance here at the 200-day moving average. I should get out my arrows and I know it's hard to see on these. A lot of you guys watch this on the on your mobile device, and it's hard to see. This is right where we're at, or right under that 200-day moving average. And I expect this next week we are going to break to the upside of that 200-day moving average, and the dollar will proceed on up to that 105 mark. This means that the stock market will begin to pull back. And so I do see us coming back down to the bottom side of this orange part of the channel. Not so sure that we'll get down into the green area. We'll have to reanalyze and reassess as we go. But right now, my spiny senses are telling me we'll at least go down to the bottom of the orange channel. So a little bit of a pullback. Maybe it ends up being a couple weeks, couple months, so the movement would be slower to the downside. So it would be more sideways action. And that all goes right over into what I've been saying about Bitcoin. So let's just jump straight over there. I'm not going to really delve into much more than Bitcoin for the purpose of this video. Just want to give you guys an idea of where we're at. Of course, many of you know that I entered a couple large positions down here at the 39,000 level. And when we were hitting that 100-day moving average, I entered more. And then I took profit again. We've been trading Bitcoin very good here. It's been precisely following what I expected to do. Now, here's where I think it will go before the dollar starts to strengthen and before the stock market pulls back. And along with that, Bitcoin will probably pull it back, right? Because now we have all of these 11 ETFs, and they will help to manipulate the price of Bitcoin, or persuade, I should say, the price of Bitcoin, because I'm not sure manipulate is more of an intentional word. Of course, the market makers are definitely going to manipulate. And we've been seeing a lot of selling from Grayscale to Coinbase wallets. All right. So that's just retailers, as that discount has reached parity, equilibrium. They are selling, and Grayscale in turn is selling some of their portion, probably at a premium to Coinbase, so that Coinbase can be assured they have liquidity for any upcoming moves, however volatile they may be. All right. But in this case here, let's just zoom in and let me get out a big arrow so you guys can all see where we're at and where I expect us to go. There are a number of reasons why I think we could still go up to 44,000 before we return back down to 39,000 and lower. Remember, I've been under the persuasion that we will come back down and test these support channel areas, and we haven't really done that yet. The move down was rather, yeah, I know a lot of people would argue that it was a strong move down, but I don't think we've seen the end of this yet. And I think we're going to have some stronger impulses to the downside in the up and coming weeks. All right, so you see here, I have a level at 42,400. We haven't quite reached that yet. And we have the 50-day above, and then we have the underside of this megaphone pattern. Let me zoom back out so you can see that. I drew that many, many moons ago. And that is a bearish pattern. And true to form, we hit the 48,000. You guys remember that last trade I did where I took profit 50% at 47 and 100% at 48 after entering, again, it was right around 42, anywhere from 40 to 42,000. All right, so we made good profit on that trade too. In fact, I'm thinking until altcoins can prove that they're not just going to be a copycat of Bitcoin, which is really what they're doing right now. They're just, copying exactly what they're not even following. They're just copying on the same time frame what Bitcoin does and maybe exaggerating it to some degree. But it doesn't seem like they're exaggerating it that greatly to the upside any longer. In other words, Bitcoins, and we've talked about that red ascending line, 90% of the alts have fallen below that price line, that trend line now. And I'm not going to, well, let's just jump over the chart and I'll show you. I'm going to show you a strong one that has not. And this is just for the, so you can see the red ascending trend line that I'm talking about here. All the altcoins have the same red ascending trend line. 90% of alts have fallen below this red trend line. And you'll remember I talked about there is an ascending. Now I have it black on this chart. Let me just turn it red so that I can be consistent. And the red arrow is pointing to that. So I have this red ascending trend line on the RSI chart too. And what has happened on the altcoins, the weaker ones, let me just find one that has. Let's look at Solana. All right. So we have this red ascending trend line. And now price has fallen below this red ascending trend line, indicating that we are going to come into more selling here. But before that happened, you'll see down here on the RSI chart, and excuse all the noise here, I'm going to get out a big arrow and just follow the big arrow. You'll see that way back here, we broke below this red ascending trend line on the RSI chart. All right, so this was our lead indicator telling us that eventually price would also break. And that is actually the consistent pattern and trajectory that the altcoins have followed. They break the ascending red trend line on the RSI first, and then price eventually comes down and breaks this ascending red trend line. So in the case of BCH, Bitcoin Cash, we have not either broken the RSI, and therefore the price has not broken and confirmed. Now it did, whoops, didn't mean to move that. It did break the trend line here, but it did not confirm. All right. So we're still on the upside, and Bitcoin Cash is actually still bullish. But I expect eventually even the strongest of these altcoins to follow the same pattern, breaking the RSI first. So we should see this consistent here on this chart. We'll see Bitcoin Cash break this RSI trend line first, this ascending trend line, and then price will also follow and break the trend line up here. All right, so on Bitcoin, where was I going with all that? I guess the bottom of this megaphone pattern is like that red ascending trend line on the altcoins. And in this case, this is a very bearish pattern, this megaphone pattern. And I expected the bulls, quite honestly, to be possibly a little bit stronger, but it was really weak. 48,000 was my target, and I was able to sell above that because I let that remaining 50% ride, and I sold at 48,130, 237, something like that. And we went a little bit higher to 49. But remember, I said we could wick up all the way to 52, possibly even 55. That would be the top side of that megaphone pattern. And the bulls couldn't even get us there. All right, really weak, really weak. And so that selling pressure continues largely due to Grayscale's GBTC and retailers taking parity on the previous discount, and also, you know, if you're going to buy an ETF, you probably wouldn't want to buy Grayscale's GBTC because it has a 1.5% fee, something like that. Where some of these ETFs that have entered, of the 11, there's uh, two or three that are below 0.5, and some of them are free for the time being. So you would probably go over there and trade. So, anyways, all that being said, Grayscale has been unloading a lot of Bitcoin to Coinbase. Coinbase may be paying a premium for that Bitcoin. We can't see what's going on behind the scenes, right? But these market makers are now in control of the Bitcoin. All right. So you guys all think it's a great thing, and that's fine. You can be excited if you want. Yeah, Bitcoin will go higher, but I'm always a little bit cautious and maybe not as optimistic as you all when big money gets in, because they just destroy everything. And this is going to be no exception, in my opinion. Now, the price will go up, but what at what cost? I mean, you know, who is going to get the benefit of all this Bitcoin? Right now, retailers are freaked out and they're selling, and I have a hunch that the whales are going to be picking up all of that Bitcoin. So they're just shaking out your pockets right now. They will continue to do so, and I pray that this is not the case, but it seems like Bitcoin is now going to become monopolized by big money as well. Anyways, we have to follow Bitcoin because that's what all the little guys are doing. There's, you know, little guys are the altcoins. They're scared shitless right now, and they, whatever Bitcoin does, they'll freak out and they'll exaggerate any move to the nth degree. All right. And so that's fun to trade on the upside, or if you're shorting on the downside. As you know, this channel primarily focuses on long cryptos only, non-leveraged. And our goal is an attempt to turn $10,000 into $1,000,000 in 5 years. Not sure that we can do that, but I definitely know it's possible. And with any, we've been doing good in a bear market, still have made 50% profit while everything is going down, and we're going long, non-leveraged crypto only. We've still done 50% profits. All right, so that's great, guys. It's only going to get better when there's a bull run, right? When we actually get into the bull market, which, yeah, this could be it, but right now, settle down, because I think we're going to see the market movers move the market and shake out more pockets. So I really went off on a tangent there. I'm shooting for the 50-day moving average, which is this blue line. And notice how it coincides exactly with the bottom of this channel. I want to show you something else here, guys, and I'm going to pause the video to do this. Give me 1 second. Okay, I erased all of my drawings and put up Fibonacci here. Now, where did Fibonacci come from? I drew this from the bottom of our last, and I've got to put it in auto mode. For some reason, it went out of auto mode. All right, so I drew this from the top, actually, the top of our most recent high at 69,000-ish to the bottom here, what I consider the bottom. I don't think we'll be seeing any prices lower than $15,600 again, guys. I call bottom there. All right. So anyways, that is Fibonacci. And look at this. Look where we're at here. We're at 50% retracement right now. That is a significant level of resistance. And that coincides with the level that I had drawn on the other chart. So I'm going to pop back. So anyways, this could be the top. We could spike up and hit that blue line there, which is the 50-day moving average. But we're going to, in my opinion, almost for sure see selling ensue again next week. All right, so back to my regular chart, and the level that I was talking about that I have drawn here is this level at 42,472. That is a significant level, and that actually comes all the way back from over here as well. Where is 42,000? Right here. All right, so we have lots of pivots way over here. Even this wick down in December of 2021 hit that level and returned. So big bounce there. So that is definitely a significant level. And so, anyways, I did a lot of rambling in this video only to say this. I am all out again on my Bitcoin position. As you know, I sold all my Bitcoin again for great profit. Let me switch over to the other mode because I am ending this video. And I will be on travel next week, but I may dip my toes in the water should we start to get back down to that 39,000 level. I'll probably buy in a little bit there. Then further on down, 38,000. That's where those two supports converge. Showing you the chart here. See where they intersect. Let me get out a big circle here. Right here is a good area, but that's a couple weeks down the road. So once we get there, that is right around 38,000 or so. I will buy more, and should we break those two areas, then we'll definitely come back down to probably 36,000, and below that is the one that I spoke about quite a bit, 31,600. Very strong support, and I am not anticipating we get down there even, but if we do get down there, I definitely don't anticipate we'd break below that. All right. This is all, guys, jumping back to the charts one more time. This is all forming that handle that I have anticipated on. I'm not saying that, we don't know for sure, but so far I've been able to call these head and shoulders, cup and handle patterns pretty accurately. I see no difference here. If we don't break those supports, that's definitely a solid handle on a much bigger, larger cup and handle pattern, which, as you know, and I've said this numerous times, would take us to 80,000 by the end of this fiscal year. All right, so hopefully that all there we go. Hopefully that all makes sense to you guys. Looking to buy back in long, and I'm probably going to stay out of the alts for a little bit. Alts disappointed me last time I went long, and Bitcoin popped like this, and they just were very lackluster, showing me that there's lots of weakness going on in the altcoin space, and right now it's time for us to retract quite a bit from this. Some coins like Solana were up 10x from their low. Solana at one point went down to $8. I know that because I'm a holder of Solana, and then it went all the way up to 100. Maybe 100. It tagged 125 at one point. So that's like 12x, 13, 14x, something like that from $8. So it's time for us to do a little bit of selling to the downside, and I expect like coins like Solana to get back down to $60. Good place to buy back in, but I probably won't dip my toes in the altcoin space until I see some real good retraction. All right, and that's not necessarily the case for Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I don't expect to sell as much. I expect it to be the strong crypto, as it always has been. It's getting to a stage now, guys, where it's becoming more stable, because it is the oldest coin and there's a lot of money in it. So there's a lot of, it's a lot harder to move the prices in a volatile fashion like as with altcoins. All right, guys, enough rambling on. Hope that makes sense to you. We'll see you in the next video. Peace, y'all.